Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the Daily Show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome one and all to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. I am the glossy-lipped, freshly contoured Mark Ellis. I'm going to be hosting this show. We have a great rundown here. We have some stories that are breaking news we're going to get to right up top, but then later in the show, we have a trailer to talk about. We have Patty Jenkins almost being the Time Person of the Year. Whole lot of stuff to get to. Who's joining me for it, Ashley?
Also, here's Mark Reilly.
I'm happy to be here. Did you know there's a volcano in the Jurassic Park book? So
really
makes sense now with these plot details.
So they wrote a book about the movie.
That's how this works.
That is correct, Mark Ellis. They wrote a book about the movie.
Perri nemiroff.
Oh, yeah. Am I having a party this morning, or am I just sipping on some cold brew?
It's a golden chalice. Now, we're going to raise our glasses to a number of breaking stories. The first one, and this just came across my desk, Ashley Mova has breaking news about Star Wars Louboutin shoes. What do we got?
Well, they're making Louboutin shoes based on Star Wars characters.
All right. We transitioned from that into the thumbnail that you guys probably already are excited about and clicked on. Entertainment Weekly has a new issue coming out soon, and it's going to be all about Dark Phoenix, the latest in the X-Men franchise. The cover features Phoenix herself / Jean Grey. They also revealed some plot details along with these first look images, and that includes we're taking the X-Jet to outer space, and apparently that happens very early in the movie. We go to outer space, an incident happens. It is going to have Jean Grey have to rectify against the Dark Phoenix within her, so there's a lot of mental telepathy things going on. But then you also have Lilandra, possibly. Jessica Chastain is playing a villain who seems to be Lilandra from the comics. They have not confirmed that yet, but Jessica Chastain, we did get one look of her in the movie as well. Then there's a very interesting shot with Charles Xavier and a few of the other mutants at some sort of funeral, so not sure all that's going on there with Simon Kingberg's directorial debut in the X-Men universe. Perri, you saw these images. What stands out to you?
What stands out to me is Jean Grey's Sophie Turner, because look at that cover. And, you know, I have fun with my Entertainment Weekly covers, but I do tend to pick on them for, you know, pretty much just being, oh, stand there in your costume and look super serious. That is stunning. And then I love when I get to the point in the article where I read that Kinberg wanted more time in post-production to really make the effects pop, because you look at those images of her and you see why he wanted that extra time and the fact that he's going to use it to great effect, because wow, that's striking. And right now, because I have just seen Molly's Game, I will take absolutely anything Jessica Chastain gives me. She is incredible in that movie. And really, even though I haven't loved every movie she's been in, I have never seen her give anything other than an excellent performance time and time again. So there is no doubt in my mind that she's going to bring a lot to this franchise, no matter who that character winds up being.
Well, the movie comes out November 2nd, 2018, so it's less than a year away, and that was the first thing that struck me when I looked at these images, Reilly, is, oh, this is coming out sooner than I thought. We're already in production. This thing is a chugolin, and it is some interesting plot details. Not all the photos really hit me. I like the Jean Grey ones. I think Sophie Turner's a great casting choice for her. Thought that in Apocalypse as well. Jennifer Lawrence is still in the movie. She still was bored by being in the movie. She's a great actress, but I never really felt like she cared that much about this franchise, and it seems like each movie that comes out, it's just less and less excitement about that. How do you feel about the Mystique images as well as everything else?
Well, the Mystique image reminds me of the comic book, like straight from the comic book. Her hair's a little bit shorter. She looks like a realization of that actual character.
Got that hair did.
Getting closer to the comic book. I dig the image. I dig the images of Sophie Turner as Phoenix. We're getting a do-over. We're getting a do-over for the Dark Phoenix saga. It wasn't handled very well in the third X-Men, so I'm excited to see what Kinberg does with this. I like that they're saying there's a major twist halfway through that's going to change everything. Is it the funeral? I don't know. Is Jean Grey going to pass and then rise as the Phoenix? One can only speculate. But yeah, these look great. Hopefully, Mark Ellis, Jennifer Lawrence is coming to play and having fun, and she's back, and she's not, you know what they said, phoning it in Apocalypse, which I kind of saw that. But, you know, hopefully she's doing her thing.
Yeah, I mean, in Apocalypse, she kind of just went to FedEx and just says, ship that baby in. But she's still a really good actress, Ashley. So you see these images, does anything stand out to you in a positive or negative light?
Jennifer Lawrence annoying the hell out of me per usual. But this cover looks so sick. And reading the details, I love me a good twist. So I'm really excited about that. But I saw this tweet online about the funeral scene. And it says, why does Storm have an umbrella over her head? Laughing my ass off. She controls the weather. And hilarious.
Yeah, but look, if you're at a funeral and maybe it's not all a mutant affair, and you know it's supposed to rain, and you don't necessarily want to out yourself. I'm not sure why, but it is weird that Storm, you could if you're just be selfish and just move the rain away from you. Like it's cool to let it fall on everybody else.
It's like certain characters in a certain other superhero movie that just came out that didn't use their powers out of respect. So maybe she's taking a cue from them. But just to give Jennifer Lawrence a little credit and think that she might bring more to this movie than maybe she had in past X-Men movies is I also like the part in this article where they mentioned that she kind of pushed Kinberg into making this his directorial debut. So why would she do that and then not give everything she's got to this role?
Well, and certainly you can link that to the behavior of Bryan Singer on past sets, and he recently got fired from the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, the biopic about Queen that he had been working on and directing. And it's interesting in this article because Ellen Page had noted that, you know, she was on the Last Stand set and that Brett Ratner, that set was not a fun, pleasant set to be on. And then it was even noted by Jennifer Lawrence that because she's worked with Bryan Singer in the past, that those sets, she called them fun chaos, but now this set with Kinberg at the helm is fun without all the chaos. So very interesting note. And that's actually how we transition into our next story before we get to Ye Old Rundown. And that is going to be that we do have a replacement director for the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, and that is none other than Eddie the Eagle director Dexter Fletcher is going to be taking over the reins. There's only a couple weeks left in principal photography right now, and he certainly looks like a guy who DJs Queen at 3 in the morning. Let's see if he actually can direct the movie and steer this ship into port. Perri Nemiroff, is Dexter the right play here?
I don't really know the answer to that because I adored Eddie the Eagle. It was one of my favorite movies of that year, and I don't necessarily see the comparison from that to this, but clearly he is generally a talented director, so I'm happy to hear that they found someone to kind of steer that ship so quickly because more so than anything with that story, it just upsets me that people give so much to a production and they lean on a director for guidance amongst many other things on a set. And, you know, someone like Rami Malek, I get the impression like he was giving that movie his all, you know. He rose to fame from Mr. Robot. This movie is a big deal for him, headlining his own movie. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't have the support he needs, and that's a bummer.
Well, what's interesting, Reilly, is that apparently Fletcher was considered to direct it back in 2014, but he left the project. So now he's back on it, and he's going to be the one to see this thing through.
Well, if that's the case, it's good news for the production that he has some history. He probably is passionate about it, cares about it. But with the knowledge that it's only like a couple weeks before they finish filming, it begs the question, who's getting the credit on this movie? Is it going to be Bryan Singer? Are we having a kind of a parallel Justice League thing where they got rid of Zack Snyder, they brought in Joss Whedon, do some shoots, do some reshoots? Are we going to get reshoots? Who is going to get credited? I feel like people in the Directors Guild probably know better than me, but that's the big question I have. As far as him being able to do it and the right choice, I love Eddie the Eagle. It's a great movie, so I have faith in him.
Ashley, you ever see Eddie the Eagle? It's really good.
I didn't see Eddie the Eagle, but this guy's giving me Albert Einstein vibes, so maybe he's a genius and he'll handle the movie well.
He's great.
We don't know who's going to get actual directing credit, and again, that's to be sorted out by the DJ, the Directors Guild, but it'll be interesting because I think I know who the studio would like to give credit to. Just have to see how that all shakes out. And now we finally get to the rundown. We left you, but now we're back, and we really care about you. We got a good story to talk about.
2 months after women began to come forward accusing men in power of sexual harassment and assault, Time magazine named these women the Silence Breakers and awarded them Person of the Year. The list came down to 7 finalists for the prestigious award, including Colin Kaepernick, Robert Mueller, Donald Trump, and finally, a woman that changed the landscape of female-driven superheroes, director Patty Jenkins. Jenkins made the list, stating she was considered for redefining how the world sees a woman. Mark, thoughts on the Silence Breakers making Person of the Year and Patty Jenkins as a runner runner-up for making Wonder Woman.
I like this story on both fronts. I think the Silence Breakers were deserved of being the Time Person of the Year. Then I also think Patty Jenkins, it's nice to see her get some sort of credit for everything that Wonder Woman brought to the table, because as inspiring as that movie was and as great as Gal Gadot was as Wonder Woman, I think the biggest reason for the success of that movie and why it was such a cultural landmark event was because of Patty Jenkins and her directing such a fun, tremendous, enlightening, empowering film. So Wonder Woman should get credit, and Patty Jenkins along with that. And let's not think this is just about Wonder Woman. This is also about Patty Jenkins making a great movie and then holding that power to Warner Brothers and saying, oh, by the way, you want me to come back for your sequel? You're going to have to pay me because you didn't have it in the contract. So now it's on you to pony up the cash. They did. She's writing and directing Wonder Woman too. I think that certainly played in to how high on the list she got for Person of the Year from Time. Perri, how do you feel?
I am thrilled to hear that she made it this high up on the list. And if you haven't read that profile piece on her that they released, you got to read it, because one, it just gives a lot of background on how she came to this position, and also just some of the things she achieved in Wonder Woman. Because, you know, when we're reviewing a movie like Wonder Woman, you review it as a movie, as it is what it is. But then when you really dig into it, there's so many things that kind of radiate out, and it's not easy to create that sense of empowerment. And the way she does it with that character is like, one of the one lines that really stood out to me is when she explains what Wonder Woman's mission is. And it's not so much a traditional superhero good versus evil battle where she's like, I am the good one and I will take down the evil. It's more so she is assessing humanity. She believes in good, and she says, listen, I still love you guys, but I don't agree what you're doing right now, so I need to put a stop to it. And just like taking that approach to a traditional superhero movie battle, I mean, that is really inspiring and empowering, and it challenges everybody to kind of embrace the good and see the light in the darkness. And I think that's part of the reason why someone like her should be celebrated. And I also watched that video of the Silence Breakers, that brief montage they did that featured all of them. And yeah, I'm very glad that that's what topped the list. I mean, not glad in the sense that this had to happen at all, but those women should be recognized for what they've done, because the words that came up a lot in that piece are just feeling shame for having gone through what you went through if you were in the middle of that kind of situation, and then what comes with validation. And when you feel that kind of shame, it's not easy to speak out, and then all of a sudden these women come out and they validate your feelings, and then they make so many other people follow suit, and it could be a life-changing things for so many people who clearly are in this same kind of situation and are just buried with this, like, am I right to feel like this? Did I bring this upon myself? And then all these women come out and they validate the fact that, no, you didn't deserve any of this. So I'm glad to see that this is getting the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, and Ashley, it's hard for me to make an argument that Patty Jenkins should be the Person of the Year over the Silence Breakers, because she made a movie that was really, I thought it was a great film, and it also transcended just being a typical Hollywood superhero movie. But the Silence Breakers, that was heavily involved in Hollywood, but also in every other part of America and the world, where you look at politics. There are so many other implications of that beyond just the studio system, although I think it did have a huge effect on Hollywood, which is another reason why I think it's a deserved #1.
Yeah, totally. I'm really glad at least that they're both top two. I mean, what a great group of people to have in your top two. But I mean, the nominees, you should work this into your next comedy routine. It's like Donald Trump, Patty Jenkins, and the Silence Breakers walk into a bar. I mean, how could these group of people like exist in the same world? But I'm glad that they took the top two.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the time of the Time Person of the Year, Reilly, doesn't necessarily have to be the best person of the year. Now, in this case, I think it was somebody or a group of people who were very brave and strong and empowering to other women and human beings for that matter. But the Person of the Year doesn't necessarily have to be a good guy. It can be a really bad person, or it can be a president that a lot of people, needless to say, are a little divisive on, to say the least. Follow me on Twitter for more on that. Your feelings on Patty Jenkins being runner-up, did she deserve that level of praise?
She deserves that level of praise. If you look at this, the Silence Breakers, and then you hone in on Patty Jenkins, a seismic shift happening in Hollywood, not only with the Silence Breakers and Ashley Judd featured in this, and Alyssa Milano, you know, some people in the film industry that out Harvey Weinstein, and then the dominoes are falling. You are not safe if you are a harasser, if you are a predator. And this is what Hollywood is doing now. It's like we're cleaning house, getting them out of there. And then you look at Patty Jenkins, oh yeah, I can also go make a 800 million worldwide movie. Give me money. I'm going to continue to shatter these glass ceilings, and you're going to take me seriously. And Ava DuVernay's over there making A Wrinkle in Time, and she's clapping and loving Patty Jenkins getting this. And Patty Jenkins is now the hottest director in town. So all of this is just showing you, shining a light on Hollywood, and it's a change, and it's a change for the better. And I couldn't be more happy for this.
Do you get an actual like physical award if you're the runner-up for Time of the Year? Do you get like a silver medal? Is there?
I think you deserve a plaque. You definitely get a plaque that you can put on the wall.
Okay, I would accept a plaque if I was runner-up.
Big plaque.
I don't need a trophy, but if I won, I would want a trophy. But if I'm runner-up, I will accept a plaque.
I think the recognition is pretty cool in itself, like regardless of plaque or not.
Gonna need something physical. Sorry.
You wouldn't frame your magazine pages?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I love in The Big Lebowski, right? When he walks up and it's the Time Man of the Year, and it's like he looks and it's just like in the mirror. Yeah. Is there anybody else from Hollywood that you guys can think of that should be considered for something like this? Maybe a top 10. I mean, the first name that came to my mind, in addition to everybody that's listed in this, was Jordan Peele, because of being able to break out from, and this is just in Hollywood we're talking about, being able to break out from being known for sketch comedy to directing a movie that another culturally important flick like Get Out. I think that Peele would be up there, but I understand why Patty Jenkins is at the top of the list for Hollywood.
Yeah, I can see why you would mention Jordan Peele, but if I had not seen this list and you had said to me, pinpoint one person in this industry right now who needs to be recognized this way, I'm pretty sure my mind would immediately go to Patty Jenkins.
Comeback Person of the Year? M. Night Shyamalan. Huh? Yeah. Made the Split movie, and now we're all excited about his next movie. So hats off to you. Pick up Time Magazine and Entertainment Weekly. And people, if you want to know who the sexiest man of the year is, it's Blake Shelton. Let's move on to our next
Nice
story.
add-on.
Yeah.
I love it.
In a report from Deadline, it looks as though Disney has made Rob Marshall their top choice to direct The Little Mermaid. The live-action adaptation of the animated musical will have new songs by Hamilton's Lin-Manuel Miranda and Alan Menken. The outlet states that they have heard Marshall has been offered the movie and is now reading the script, taking until after the holidays to decide. Sources for Deadline, however, expect him to sign on for the project right after the new year. Reilly, thoughts on Rob Marshall directing The Little Mermaid?
Yeah, I'm not excited. This is a very safe move. I feel like he's directing Mary Poppins Returns. He's done. Look, not to take away from the guy's resume, because he has some amazing movies that he's done, but we just talked about glass ceilings and diversity, and we have Person of the Year, and we have Patty Jenkins, and we have Ava DuVernay doing this. They couldn't find somebody else to direct a movie about the Little Mermaid that is different, that might bring some more inspiration to it. Like, I look squarely at Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's a director. I would love to see him take this on, because he's actually putting new music into it. So he seems like a good fit to step out into the spotlight and actually take on a Disney movie. But Rob Marshall, look, I already know what I'm going to get from this Little Mermaid movie. When you told me Jon Favreau was doing Jungle Book, and then you see Jungle Book, it's like, you're like, wow, okay, this is great. You look at what they're doing with Mulan. Even Guy Ritchie directing Aladdin is an inspired choice. I know what I'm getting with this, and I was hoping that we would get something like that. A director that would come out and go, yeah, we're going to get something different. Lin-Manuel Miranda would have been my choice. He wrote music for Moana. He seems poised for this. I know he's in Mary Poppins Returns, but wouldn't it have been great? That's what I wish. I wish it was just a director that was like somebody like, whoa, great. I just know everything I'm going to get with this. I think it's uninspired, but let me see the next trailer.
Yeah, the uninspired safe play might be how you feel about Rob Marshall, because he has worked so well with Disney in the past, and whatever you think of Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, it made a lot of money. And then also, if he's working on the new Mary Poppins movie, things seem to be very copacetic between him and the studio. I agree with Reilly, Perri. I think that we could have gone with a more, not risky choice, but a different choice, a fresher choice. I'm so glad that Nicky Caro is doing Mulan, because if you didn't have that Mulan movie in production, then you have Guy Guy Ritchie doing Aladdin, you have Jon Favreau doing The Lion King, you have Rob Marshall doing The Little Mermaid, and I think we know what they have in common. So I'd like to see Disney continue to expand their diversity as far as behind the camera, like they have been able to do in front of the camera. How do you see the Rob Marshall choice?
The main thing that I'm focusing on that's keeping me hopeful about this choice is how it would connect to Mary Poppins. The fact that why would they bring him on board with this if that was not going well? So what I can get from that movie through this pick excites me, I guess, but I'm kind of right there with you guys. I don't necessarily want to call Rob Marshall a safe choice because I do think he has some style and flair, but I also think that where some of these Disney live action adaptations have been most successful is when they do kind of stick to what we know and they don't go too crazy, like let's say a Maleficent. Like I love Cinderella so much, and I really did like Beauty and the Beast too, and I think I liked some of the more traditional elements of Beauty and the Beast than I liked the new elements. So I'm okay with them. I don't want to use the word safe again because I don't think that's fair to apply to him, but I do want them to take a semi-straightforward approach to this adaptation. But the one thing that is still stuck in my head is that Universal rendition, because when it was circling around that Sofia Coppola was going to direct not a live-action adaptation of the animated Little Mermaid, but the real source material, and it was going to be dark, and she wanted to shoot it underwater, that sounded so exciting and new to me. So even though I am liking the direction that Disney is taking these movies in, I have that in the back of my mind, and one clearly sounds a lot more exciting than the other.
Well, a very different take on The Little Mermaid, if you want to go back to the Hans Christian Andersen source material, would be The Shape of Water in a weird way. So check out The Shape of Water.
Yes.
There's some Little Mermaid elements in there. That's all I'm going to say about it. Perri had to throw the Mary Poppins 2 thing in my face, Ashley, because she knows that I'm not excited about Mary Poppins at all, though I did see some footage of the Mary Poppins Returns, and I was like, oh, it looks like a goddamn magical adventure. Fine. And Rob Marshall's directing it, so it does show that they have confidence in that movie if they're going to give him. This is like when Star Wars fans say, oh, The Last Jedi is going to be great because Star Wars just gave Rian Johnson a new trilogy, so they have to believe in The Last Jedi a lot. Is this more about Mary Poppins Returns being great, or is this more about Rob Marshall being the right choice?
Well, I'm really excited for Mary Poppins, unlike some of us.
Me too, Ashley.
I have to say, though, I'm a little bit torn on this because I want to say Rob Marshall's a great choice because he has experience with musicals and stuff. But as a theater major, my favorite musical was Into the Woods. And when I heard that they were making an Into the Woods movie, I was so excited. The cast was amazing. When it came out, what the hell was that? I hated it. And I don't really want a darker Little Mermaid. I want like the colorful world, you know? So I'm kind of torn on this. I hope it goes a little bit brighter and funner, the Little Mermaid that I want, but I guess we'll see.
So you won't be seeing the Sofia Coppola version if that ever comes to the big
No,
screen.
I won't.
They're also working on a new Jungle Book. The Andy Serkis Jungle Book is still like happening, so
Apparently.
you know that could be a darker take on the classic novel that we all know and love. Well, the classic novel, yeah, Rudyard Kipling wrote it. I know what I'm talking about. I don't need a teleprompter. All right, let's move on to something that we're all going to probably buy.
THR reports that Ryan Reynolds has signed on to star in Legendary's live-action Pokemon movie, Detective Pikachu. Goosebumps director Rob Letterman is directing the project, which is due to start shooting mid-January in London. Pikachu is a species of Pokemon, whereas Detective Pikachu is a character from the Pokemon set and known as a self-styled investigator good at finding things. Reynolds will play the role of Detective Pikachu, which is said to be motion capture in nature, and will join already cast Justice Smith, who will be seen in the upcoming Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, as well as Big Little Lies actress Catherine Newton. A release date has not been set. Perri, buy or sell Ryan Reynolds as Detective Pikachu?
I think I gotta talk myself through this before I settle on a buy or a sell. First, just to recap a conversation I had with Mr. Mark Ellis this morning. I'm not particularly well versed in Pokemon, but I did play on my Game Boy when what was it, the red and the blue version? I loved those, and based on what I know from that and the little bit of Pokemon Go we played here, I always thought that Pikachu just said like Pika, and it was a cute little animated character like that. And then all of a sudden I started to do a little research, and I came across the trailer for the Great Detective Pikachu, which I believe has only been released in Japan, and it's like a deep voice. It almost feels like I've never played the game, so I can't judge it beyond that little bit of a trailer that I saw. But when I think about Ryan Reynolds, especially now hot off the heels of Deadpool, I almost picture this Detective Pikachu movie being like a foul-mouthed Pikachu running around and with like blood. Because I think there was a clip. Well, I think there was a clip in one of the things that I watched that looked like a little violent, or a little more violent than I would expect from a Pokemon movie. So I just don't really understand Detective Pikachu all that much, but in my fantasy world where it's some sort of dark nature where Pikachu has some sass to him, I guess Ryan Reynolds is a good fit. Does this make any sense at all? Wait, you know what? You know what really doesn't make any sense to me? The motion capture. Wait, how is Ryan Reynolds gonna mocap Pikachu?
These are all great questions, Perri, and I don't think anybody at the desk has the answer to them. Though I've received a number of emails and tweets from fans telling me about the intricate mythology and lore that is associated with Pokemon, so I can appreciate that. Does Detective Pikachu talk? Would be my one question, because Ryan Reynolds is really good at speaking. He's really good at verbalizing things and making them amusing or dramatic, and I don't know why you hire Ryan Reynolds if Detective Pikachu ain't going to say all that much, unless you're hiring him because you know that this is going to be a huge property with kids. It's probably going to be a monster overseas when it comes out. If you want it to appeal to American audiences, there is nobody better right now to do the press rounds, to promote your movie if they're starring in it, than Mr. Ryan Reynolds. He's a movie star. He's an A-lister. That's why you go out and you get Ryan Reynolds, because it brings more attention to this movie, as if it needed that, because I think there's already a pretty big fan base lining up to see something like this. So I'd go ahead and say, yeah, Ryan Reynolds is a solid choice. How about you, Reilly?
It's a solid choice. It actually, because I know nothing of the property at all, other than those two guys I almost hit when they ran out in the streets looking for the Pokemon Go. That's all I know about this property. So when Ryan Reynolds, when I saw the alert on my phone that he was cast, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Now I know about Detective Pikachu, and now I know what to expect. Somewhat, I know we're gonna get something funny. I hope he is a little bit sassy. Maybe he has a mouth on him. Are they gonna? I hope to God now they make a Deadpool 2 reference, like that somehow he just throws out, breaks the fourth wall, gets all meta, and says something about Detective Pikachu. It's probably gonna happen, but I love that they got Ryan Reynolds. I think it, for all the reasons you said, Mark Ellis, it's going to add just a little bit more. It already has a huge audience. Now you have people like us that are like, wait, Deadpool's in Detective Pikachu? Let's do this. I just got to see whatever that is.
Actually, I think you're more likely to have a Pikachu reference in Deadpool 2 that they try to shoehorn in somewhere. So keep your eyes peeled in the background for some Pokemon cards floating around. You cool with Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu?
You know, when I saw the bullet points, because at the top of the show notes, we'll see the bullet points, kind of like what you see in a sidebar about what the show's going to be about. And I saw Pokemon movie, and I was like, oh God, no. And I read the story, and then when I saw Ryan Reynolds' name in it, I was like, this changes everything. I buy it. But then I'm starting to think, like, do I want Deadpool playing Pikachu? I think that's what's making me buy. I keep imagining Deadpool and Pikachu, and I love that idea. I almost want an R-rated Pikachu movie.
I think a lot of people would love an R-rated Pikachu or Pokemon movie. And make no mistake, this is not like the Emoji Movie. This is not Angry Birds. Pokemon is an international sensation. And I think it does deserve the big screen treatment, both here in America and continuing overseas. So Ryan Reynolds, good luck with that. I loved you all the way back on Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. Let's move on to our next story that involves the guy who used to play Venom, me.
While at Comic-Con experience in Brazil, Collider's own Steve Weintraub stumbled upon the Sony booth and found, somewhat hidden, a new banner for Venom, revealing what could be the film's logo and tagline, "We Are Venom." The Spider-Man spin-off, directed by Zombieland's Ruben Fleischer, stars Tom Hardy alongside Michelle Williams, Riz Ahmed, and Jenny Slate. Venom is set to hit theaters on October 5th, 2018. Mark, buy or sell the new logo and tagline, "We Are Venom," for Sony's Venom spin-off.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I think it makes sense. It didn't wow me. It didn't blow me away when I saw it. I don't even know what exactly we're looking at yet. If this is going to be like their actual marketing or if this is just strategic to kind of get feelers out there. But I think the logo looks really neat. It reminds me of the comic books that I had when I was a kid. And the "We Are Venom" tag, I like that they're doing that. It's an easy hashtag. It's something that portends to the Venom lore a little bit, Reilly. So I like the direction they're going in. Again, it didn't blow me away, but I'm excited to see. This is one of those things that, like, when you see imagery like this, you're like, oh, it's just another step forward in reassuring us that this movie's actually happening.
Yeah, it's happening, and yeah, I'm not blown away by, I don't think this is the official movie stuff until we actually see Tom Hardy in the symbiote suit or in the motion capture or however he's going to look finally in the movie, because this looks like the comic, which is great. What I like and what I buy is the We Are Venom, because that's right to the character of Venom. When the symbiote takes over, it's like a voice in the head of the host. It's like, we are Venom. Now we're going to do something special. And it's like, when they say something special, it's like, we're going to go, mess stuff up. And so I love that they're honing in on that phrase and maybe building the marketing around it, and that it's an inherent part of the movie. That's getting me excited, especially this cast. The more I think about it, this cast, and, we've seen an image of Tom Hardy. He's in a tactical suit. So I think they're doing the story that was Agent Venom, where and it was actually Flash Thompson that got the symbiote suit to help repair his legs, and then he becomes like an agent for the government and uses the symbiote to his advantage in government exercises. So I love that idea of the story going forward with Tom Hardy, and maybe they're melding the two, Eddie Brock and Flash Thompson, into this one story. We Are Venom teases a little bit more of in the mind what's going on with Eddie Brock. So all around, this looks very promising.
Yeah, the Agent Venom storyline would certainly serve what Tom Hardy, one of the many things that Tom Hardy is great at on screen, which is being, somebody powerful. And then if you look at also Michelle Williams, Riz Ahmed is in this, Jenny Slate. We Are Venom. Perri, are you?
Yeah. Right now I would like to be. That's probably the thing that I buy the most out of this whole news story, because even as someone with limited knowledge of the source material, I still get it. So you can get a point across to a much wider audience with something like that. And then also for people who go into this movie knowing absolutely nothing about the character, it's nice that they're going to walk out, be able to look at that poster and take a little extra meaning from a tagline, because we joke about taglines all the time, and that when they're on posters, like, yeah, they're important, but are they really that important? I do like when every little detail of a marketing campaign has some real meaning to it. So that excites me. That image, though, I looked at that and I immediately thought, oh, that's just a placeholder for now. And good on the studio for maybe putting this in that Comic-Con to say, oh, hey, this is still coming. We want to keep it on your radar, because, yeah, that's smart business right there. But I'm not looking at that and being like, oh, look at all the details that we're going to see in this movie. Like, no, that's a placeholder. And eventually, I imagine it's going to be replaced with what Venom will really look like in this movie. So I'm not going too crazy about that right now, but I do like that tagline quite a bit.
Ashley, you with Perri, think this is just a placeholder image for what's to come?
I hope so, because this looks boring as hell. Even the tagline, boring as hell. We Are Venom. Whoa, crazy. Like, a 3-year-old could have come up with that. And this, I feel like I've seen it 1,000 times. Come on, let's do more work here.
Ashley.
All right, so we are not going to go
Corner
see
in check.
Venom together. Yeah,
I was waiting for you to turn around and be like, just
Oh,
kidding.
no.
She's like all out on
Still
this
there.
one.
Still there.
Vader's
All right.
Corner has come to the main desk, ladies and gentlemen.
yes.
One more chance of redemption for all of us to be happy and hold hands and buy something. Is it going to be this next trailer?
Amazon Studios has released a new trailer for the critically acclaimed thriller You Were Never Really Here. Written and directed by We Need to Talk About Kevin filmmaker Lynn Ramsey, the film stars Joaquin Phoenix as a traumatized veteran who tracks down missing girls for a living. But on his latest job, conspiracy swirls, and he finds himself going down a dark path to bring a young girl home safely. The movie will be released in select theaters on April 6, 2018. Reilly, buy or sell the new trailer for You Were Never Really Here.
Big buy. Huge buy. I love this trailer. When you tell me Lynn Ramsey, the director of We Need to Talk About Kevin, which is a fantastic movie, and Joaquin Phoenix is in this movie, I'm interested. Then you hear it won Best Screenplay and Best Actor for Joaquin Phoenix at the Cannes Film Festival. I'm very intrigued. And then you look at this trailer, and it's brutal. It's so brutal, but it's artful too. It has a really interesting look that it makes me very excited. So it's a huge buy for me. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, it's a buy for me too. It is curious timing that it's not being released, and I know that there's a number of outlets that were questioning why, if it did all this great stuff overseas at the film festival at Cannes or however the hell you say that.
Cannes.
Like James Caan, and it's the James Caan Film Festival, and or the Scott Caan Film Festival for all you Hawaii 5-0 fans. Anyway, it did very well there, so why would it not be released during Oscar season? My guess, Perri, is that you can make more money with a trailer like this because it feels like a really good movie, but also feels like it could be in the Taken vein that's going to speak to action junkies like me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I think it's got a better shot at making a little more money when they did put it, but if they are gunning for any kind of awards recognition with this one, and based on how it played in Cannes, it does seem like that's the smart play to make. It also seemed like a little bit of a dead end to release it this award season, because even just trying to come up with my top 10, trying to figure out what to nominate in my critics groups that I'm in, this is a stacked season. So this thing would have, you know, an uphill battle, just like any quality film is having right now, because there's so much competition. But I am buying this trailer big time. I love We Need to Talk About Kevin. I mean, it's a weird movie to say that you love, but just that whole exploration of that character and that family, it is fascinating. It is chilling. If you haven't seen that movie, Mr. Mark Ellis,
every Friday night we all get a mass text from Perri. Hey guys, we need to talk about Kevin Party, my place, and
God.
I haven't gone yet.
That, you know, just because it's so disturbing, I should throw that. I'm sure.
Should throw a party. I'd watch it with Dewey.
Dewey's always having guests, so you're welcome anytime you want. But I'm gonna buy this trailer. I think it looks just astounding, and this is gonna sound like a weird detail to bring up, but there's so many frames that are just interesting, like when he squishes the jelly bean.
Yes.
Like when it squished the jelly bean.
You might be on the other end of the jelly bean spectrum. I think Perri enjoyed the symbolism, the metaphor of squishing a jelly bean. Not so much, Ashley.
Okay, this trailer looked effing amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. It has everything I love. Gore, thrill, suspense. There's going to be a twist. I can sense it. But that jelly bean shot, it was like nails on a chalkboard. I just eat the jelly bean. Eat it.
No,
Why
I
are you
think that's
crushing
the thing.
it?
There's so much anger
he
and rage
crushes
inside
heads.
him when he crushes the jelly bean. That's what he's going to do to the bad guy who kidnapped this kid. He's going to
Eat
crush him
it.
like
It's
a jelly
pleasant.
bean.
Eat
Or he's going to chew on him like a jelly bean, like what you would do with a jelly bean. Here's the thing, because Perri brought up all the glut of Oscar movies that are coming out now. I think it's less about award consideration and more that there's a lot of Oscar movies and not a lot of them are going to make a whole ton of money. And I think that if you release this movie that's going to get critical acclaim probably, and it's in March, and you get the action junkies like me involved too, I think it can make a crap ton more at the box office than it would if it was just another movie that they're trying to rush out to make sure Joaquin Phoenix gets his Best Actor nomination and all that stuff. So I think it's going to do a lot better financially in March than it would in December.
Are you looking at me for a response?
Yeah, but
Yes.
I think that is a very valid point.
no, you
but
can squish my point like a jelly bean if you want.
I can't do that because I do think there's some truth to what you just said. But thinking about some of the award season movies coming out right now, Disaster Artist is opening in 800 theaters this weekend, and I think that's going to make a lot of money,
I think that's the
especially
one.
for
I think
800
that's the one.
theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, it could make more than $5 million, and that's a nice chunk of money for a movie that is not hitting over 1,000 theaters and has so much competition. Kind of right now, but also coming up in the future.
Yeah, I think
the very near
I think
future.
Disaster Artist is going to be the one that's going to do pretty well at the box office. Then you have that little space movie coming out next weekend, and you have your Jumanjis and your Pitch Perfects in December. So, I don't know how much money Phantom Thread is going to make opening weekend. That's all I'm saying. Don't really care to see it myself. We are going to remind you guys at the end of the show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. And we also want to remind you that the top 50 superhero movies is right here on the channel. Keeps on rolling. We had a new episode drop this morning. You guys can check that out at any time here on Collider Video. Make sure you subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe as well. We have an all-new Ladies Night is dropping at noon PST today. Do we have a clip? We do not have a clip. It's Ladies Night. You got to click on it to watch it when it drops at noon. And then an all-new Star Wars Fatal 5-Way Schmodown drops tomorrow. A lot of implications for the Schmodown Spectacular in this Star Wars Fatal 5-Way, so make sure you all check that out. With that, we are going to move on to Mailbag. You guys can email us anytime, collidervideo@gmail.com. Ashley's got one in the mailbox today, and it is what?
It comes from Angie, and they write, I recently read on an article where Hugh Jackman revealed that he turned down playing James Bond while he was getting ready to shoot X2. So my question is simple. Would Hugh Jackman have made a better Bond than Daniel Craig? Would you want to see him take over for Craig when he retires from the role? Thanks for taking my question.
It's a good revisionist history Monday morning quarterbacking session. I love Daniel Craig as James Bond. So no, I don't think Hugh Jackman would have been a better James Bond. He would have been a different James Bond. I would have appreciated his take on James Bond, I'm sure. But you give me what Daniel Craig gave me in Casino Royale, and I'm like, this is a new Jimmy Bond, but damn it if this isn't badass. I love Casino Royale. Might be my favorite Bond movie of all time. Skyfall, add on to that. Quantum of Solace. It wasn't Daniel Craig's fault that it was a little wacky, and the only one that I really pin on Daniel Craig a little bit would be Spectre, because he looked like he was, pardon my French, Jennifer Lawrencing, mystiquing that movie a little bit. So as long as he commits back to this final Bond that he's in, I think we had a great era with Daniel Craig, and I wouldn't trade it for Hugh Jackman. How about you, Perri?
I'm right there with you. I think Daniel Craig did some incredible work in this franchise. I would never swap him for any other actor. I love some of these movies more than I like other ones, but I think he did a great job in the role. But I also do think Hugh Jackman would have crushed it as well. And I would be really curious to see what his Bond would have looked like, because there is no doubt in my mind that, Hugh Jackman has range, but I do think it would have been a completely different type of character there. But I would never want to see Hugh Jackman step into that role now.
Yeah,
I can't really justify that, just because I do like Hugh Jackman so much, and I think he's great, and I think he could do, I think he could bring a lot of life to this role now, even after Logan and having a major franchise like that. But I think for Hugh Jackman as an actor, what I want more of is I want more things, and I haven't seen it yet, but things like The Greatest Showman. I want to see him do all sorts of different things. And when I think about Hugh Jackman, and this isn't really fair, but when I put him in a nice, neat little box, like, he's my Logan. He is an X-Men, and I want him to own that role, and really to have him jump from having committed to a franchise for so many years to jumping into something like this, which no doubt he would have to commit to a few films. I don't know. I'd rather see him jump around and try out different genres and really drastically different types of characters for a while.
Look, you want to play James Bond, you got to be good at three things. You got to be good at kicking ass, you got to be good at scoring ladies, and you got to be great at drinking. I'm awesome at one of those things. Ashley, do you think that Hugh Jackman would be good at all three of them, so much to the point when we could have replaced him with Daniel Craig?
It's hard to say, because I can't not see him as Wolverine. If I didn't know him as who I already know him as, I think he would have been a great James Bond, but it's just hard to break that, you know?
I mean, Daniel Craig's Bond, Reilly, was kind of like this rough. He was the closest thing that we had to Wolverine. Here's a question. What if you just swap roles? Who's better in their role? Is Hugh Jackman better as James Bond, or is Daniel Craig better as Wolverine? Because I think Daniel Craig could have been a badass Wolverine.
Ellis.
Yep. That's what I do here.
Mind blown, man. Mind blown. That's a good... Yeah, Daniel Craig would have made a great Wolverine, but I wouldn't swap it. There's a reason why we have our Bonds where our Bonds are and our Wolverine in Hugh Jackman. I like the revisionist history in going to when this was all going down, because he said he was offered the part when he was getting ready to shoot X-Men 2, X-Men United. So around that time was Die Another Day, which was Pierce Brosnan's last Bond movie. So I'm wondering if it was to replace him before they decided to kind of make a right turn and kind of revise the Bond legacy and do Casino Royale and get a little bit more down and dirty. Because the last Bond that Pierce Brosnan did, I believe he was surfing and on icebergs and stuff. It was really campy. It was a very campy Bond. So was it that Bond that they were looking for Hugh Jackman to do? Or was it the Casino Royale? So either way, I'm glad it worked out the way it did. And I don't think he needs to take over Bond. He's Logan forever. It's something that we're going to identify for years to come with him. And what you said, Perri, I hope he does more things like Greatest Showman and show up in a bunch of movies, more like another Prisoners movie. That would have been great. Like when Hugh Jackman just goes all over the place, I have fun with him. So I'm glad he's not Bond. He did the right move by staying with Logan.
Yeah, and as we transition into the social media part of the show, something just came across my desk. Now, somebody that, first of all, they're American, so it's hard to get that accent right, that would never be considered to be playing a James Bond is because he just spends too much time at Buffalo Wild Wings. That would be Josh McCouga, who apparently is taking over the Collider social media, Reilly. What's going on there?
He is, yeah. He's our new social media manager.
Wow.
He's like kind of... taking on the heavy lifting, getting the shows out there, and having a lot of fun on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, but definitely on Instagram at Collider Video. You can see a lot of the new posts that we're doing. get interactive, have fun. We're all having fun behind the scenes here now with him.
So when you guys are tweeting us at Collider Video, whether it's for Movie Talk or anything else, make sure you give Josh a nice hearty shout out and tell him that it's okay if you shave your forearms once in a while. Let's move on to one live Twitter question, and we'll call it a day. What do we got?
I prefer naring over shaving. It doesn't make your hair as thick.
I will recommend that to Mr. McCouga.
Thank you.
And I also wanted to include that. Remember that tweet that I was talking about earlier in this show about Storm and the umbrella thing? That was from Leroy Kelly, and they're actually a Movie Talk fan. So what up to you, Leroy? All right, first question comes from Albert Warad Harma, and they write, in honor of Detective Pikachu voice casting, what are some of the weirdest voice castings for an animated movie? Kevin Hart in Secret Life of Pets is still weird to me.
Kevin Hart as the bunny, the angry bunny in Secret Life of Pets, I thought was pretty damn good. I mean, you look at it on its ear. I always thought that it was weird that James Earl Jones had a kid that was Matthew Broderick, or Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Like, that's like a weird, wait, do we need to Maury Povich the situation a little bit? But it all worked out for the best. The one that, you hear Jeremy Irons is going to be Scar, and you're like, Jeremy Irons is going to be doing a lion, and I was a kid at the time, and so it's like, who's this Jeremy Irons guy? But I left that, and I don't know that every time I hear Jeremy Irons' voice, it's so synonymous with Scar that I have to give that all the credit in the world. The biggest one to me that is a little shocking, and I got to go back and watch the movie because I forgot this even happened, so I want to see if some of his Australian accent creeps in here, is Mel Gibson as John Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Just doesn't seem like it's going to work all that well for anybody, given the events of the last 10 years.
Especially when he starts singing.
Yeah, that's Mel Gibson as John Smith. Look it up, kids. That happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah.
What I did think about recently, was it you that I was talking about with this? Just Brad Bird voicing Edna Mode.
Oh, I love
that
Bird.
one.
Oh, Brad Bird, yeah. He was perfect. When he came out in D23 and he it's back to us, and then he said the thing, and then the reveal, Edna Mode is back. If we're talking weird, I went to when they put out a promo for Smurfs The Lost Village, and they're like, and Julia Roberts as third Smurf from the left. And I'm like, what? And then she's like, you cue in on her face, and she's like, talk about phoning it in performances. She's like, yeah, this is for my kids. Hey, Papa Smurf, how you doing? It's Julia Roberts. And I was like, you don't care, do you? You're doing it for your kids. It's a weird casting. It just came out of nowhere. And it's like, you want Julia Roberts to do a voice in a Disney movie, a Pixar movie, and you're like, oh, yeah. Or a Shrek movie even. And when you're like, Smurfs? Oh, okay. Pretty Woman and Smurfs? Got it. All right. That was weird for me.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of good responses here on the comment section as well. Ben Montero said that Patrick Stewart as the turd emoji.
Oh, boy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I never saw the movie.
I'm not seeing that movie.
I
I'm
laughed,
sorry.
though. When I saw the trailer and I saw Patrick Stewart was the voice of Poop, I thought it was funny. I thought it was very funny. And it makes me laugh at least one time a day. And then we also have Sam Anderson said Eddie Izzard as the Voldemort character in the Lego Batman movie. Why would Eddie Izzard be that? Because they already had Ray Fiennes there doing Alfred, so why wouldn't you just have him lend his voice unless he didn't want to do it? I remember thinking that too. I love the Lego Batman movie, but it's like, you have the real Voldemort. Why? Yeah. It could have made a cameo. So, all right. Well, we're going to call today here on Collider Movie Talk. I want to thank you guys for watching. We are going to be back with a brand new episode tomorrow. I will see you guys on Monday. For Ashley Mova, Perri Nemiroff, Mark Reilly, and our social media director of operations, Josh McCouga. I am Mark Ellis, and I'll see you guys Monday. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.